Over the course of the semester, we focused mainly on the problems that the film industry has with representation and stereotyping. We talked about the issues facing diverse groups: ethnicity, racism, LGBTQA, women in film, masculinity, and disability, and how they're represented or not represented in today's media.
We focused on the bad and what we've missed throughout the years. Sure, we talked about some of the good aspects too, but we always concentrated on how we as a community of filmmakers were failing at our jobs to fix the way the media represents or doesn't represent diverse groups. It made it sound like though there was no progress in the field, especially in recent years.
Alright, instead of making our audience uncomfortable or trying to do something abstract, we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk about how the film industry has and still is improving their representation of diversity such as ethnicity, women in film, and LGBTQA.
We began the year talking about female representation in the film and television field, both in terms of women in front of the camera and those behind them. We talked about how women are misrepresented, how they're used as one-dimensional plot points, sex objects, or love interests for the strong masculine hero of the film. We talked about how there wasn't any strong two-dimensional women in film, and when there was, the films weren't as popular or as validated as those with strong male stars. Luckily, it seems that in recent years and years to come, women are beginning to find their place in the film world, both behind and in front of the camera. As for in front of the camera, movies lately have been starring stronger women. Just in the past year, movies like The Hunger Games: Mockingjay and Gravity have proven that a movie with a woman lead wouldn't just make it onto the screen, it would become a box office hit. Not only did these two movies, amongst others such as Tammy and Gone Girl, prove that the movie could have a strong female lead and be successful, but they proved that a woman could star in an action genre and not just in the usual romance genre they're so easily shoved into. In years to come, movies like Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman have a chance to open the doors wide for women in comic book films, especially after the failures of Catwoman and Elektra. In those movies, the female leads were blamed for a lack of character development and plotline beyond the two characters becoming sex objects and needing a love interest. In terms of television shows, Orange is the New Black has taken viewers by storm with the representation of women, especially women of color and of different sexualities, which can be tied into two different issues we'll discuss later. In fact, coming to Keene sometime in the spring semester is the horror film The Babadook, a film that came out this past November, written and directed by a female director, Jennifer Kent. As for behind the camera, work is still being done to get more women into the film industry. New award ceremonies such as the Women in Film and Television Award and organizations like New York Women in Film and Television are working to get women filmmakers recognized and mainstreamed. While they still might be mostly unknown, there's hope for more women becoming big in the industry just by looking around the film classrooms here in Keene. In recent years, more women have become part of the cinematic world, and their numbers and influence can only grow.
What I want to talk about is race and how it's improved in film. Now, look at where we used to be. For a long time, the film industry didn't allow other races to be on screen. And when they did, they had to use things like blackface, in order to show other races in film. And when they did, it was only to use them as the enemies or outcasts in stories. And like, they use films like The Birth of a Nation as historical fact. And one of the worst parts about this is that other races had no other place on screen or in the film industry whatsoever and had no respect. Look at where we are now. Now in recent years in society and the film industry, all races have a place. And in the film industry itself, they have real and genuine respect. Today, other races in the industry have created absolute masterpieces and are recognized by the Academy Awards and have won some. Some filmmakers being like directors for Ang Lee for Life of Pi, we have Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave, we have Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity, we have Guillermo del Toro for life of films like Hellboy 1 and 2, Pan's Labyrinth, and Pacific Rim for absolute masterpieces. Every one of these films has gotten some recognition and people really love them. Even performers, like now we have some of the best and most entertaining on the screen. Actors like Denzel Washington, Chris Rock, Javier Bardem, and Chadwick Boseman, and actresses like Zoe Saldana, we have Octavia Spencer, Oprah Winfrey, Halle Berry. These are all very, very good actors and actresses and filmmakers, and will continue to have more and grow. Inside the superhero genre, at its peak, we have films being made like Black Panther and Cyborg with their own movies and leading roles. and among other movies. We have other actors in the cinematic universe, just like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Idris Elba as Heimdall. These names in films aren't just names in films anymore. They're famous and they're respected to no end. The film industry is on the right path to diversity being a common thing, just like it should be. In the film industry, diversity is still a problem. It's not as common as we all like it to be. But we are working on it. The film industry itself is working on it. Now ask yourself, has the film industry improved with diversity being more common? Yes, it has, and it will continue to do so.
Alright, I am very happy to say that we live in a world where the LGBT community is treated with mutual respect. While there is a great deal of homophobia in the world, I feel better knowing that the world is wising up and accepting people for who they really are. In the film industry before the 90s, gay characters were either really subdued or highly stereotypical, you know, with a very low, very high-pitched voice, and they were either portrayed either as an insult or a joke for quite some time. But it wasn't really until the 1990s that queer cinema came to the front, which was an era of independent films that were either written or directed by gay people that featured mostly LGBT characters. And this really put pressure on the Hollywood system to create a more positive representation of the LGBT community. It wasn't until Brokeback Mountain came out that really everything changed. It was a little film that was a major benchmark in gay cinema, as it was a mainstream hit with both audiences and critics, and was loved so much to the fact that it was even nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards in 2006. It was really one of the first times audiences could see the true side of the LGBT community. Ever since then, there have been multiple movies and TV shows that have treated the community with so much respect, such as the movie Milk, when it comes to TV shows, they have Modern Family, and recently the Netflix series Orange is the New Black. All of these shows, the one thing they have in common is the fact that we get to see a side of the LGBT community that decades ago we would have never seen. And now everybody is more accepting, everybody lives together in respect. While I would like to think that homophobia is dead and gone, it's not. But I feel better knowing that our world is heading in a better place.